Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into something incredibly fascinating and honestly super highly guarded, the inner workings of India's executive branch. We're going to decode the Prime Minister's office's master plan for cabinet selection. There's a ton of buzz right now about a potential reshuffle in the Modi 3.0 government. But look, we're not just going to list off a bunch of rumors. We're actually going to look right under the hood. We're talking the actual mechanics, historical shifts, and the extremely strict hidden criteria that dictate exactly who gets to be a minister in today's political landscape. Let's get right into it.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First up, the debate on the cabinet reshuffle. Then, past changes in the Modi cabinet, followed by a look at the Vajpayee, UPA, and Modi eras. After that, we'll hit the actual secret of minister selection. And finally, look at who might actually join the cabinet.
All right, Section 1. The debate on cabinet reshuffle, the current situation. Okay, let's dive right into the immediate situation with the Modi 3.0 cabinet. The chatter about a reshuffle, it's not just idle gossip. It's actually rooted in some very real administrative and political pressures. To really get the scope of what's possible here, we just need to do the math. When the government was sworn in on June 9, 2024, 72 ministers took the oath. But the absolute constitutional maximum limit for the union cabinet is 81. So what does that mean? Well, it means there's a physical constraint, sure, but also a pretty big open window. There are currently up to 9 empty chairs sitting there, leaving clear strategic room for expansion.
And honestly, the foundation they're building on is absolutely fascinating. Just look at the current demographic representation among those 72 ministers. You've got 27 from other backward classes, 10 from scheduled castes, 5 from scheduled tribes, and 5 from minority communities. This is absolutely not random. It's highly calculated social engineering, practically a giant puzzle, designed to perfectly balance regional and caste equations right across the country. Any new additions or reshuffles, they're going to have to perfectly slot into or enhance this exact demographic puzzle.
Now, that brings us to the rumors swirling around the Capitol. And I want to be super clear here, these are strictly unverified speculations. But the chatter suggests we might see the exit of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, which is largely being linked to the recent controversies around the NEET paper leaks. There's also talk of Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri stepping down to help balance out regional representation. Some other really fascinating rumors out there include Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman potentially shifting over to the Education Ministry and Home Minister Amit Shah possibly being elevated to Deputy Prime Minister. Again, absolutely none of this is verified, but it really shows how current events directly fuel these massive reshuffle speculations.
Moving on to Section 2, past changes in the Modi cabinet, historical context.
To see how these rumors might actually play out in reality, we really need to look at the history. Over the past decade, a very clear pattern emerges. Think back to November 2014. They brought in 21 new faces. Then in July 2016, 19 new ministers were added and 5 were dropped. September 2017, that saw 9 new additions and 6 resignations. So what does this actually tell us? It tells us that reshuffles in this administration are absolutely not panic buttons, not at all. They are a calculated, recurring mechanism that's used to prune underperformers and basically inject fresh energy straight into the government. But honestly, nothing highlights this sheer willingness to restructure quite like the massive overhaul we saw in July 2021. This was literally the biggest reshuffle in the administration's entire history. They brought in a staggering 36 new faces and secured the resignations of 12 senior ministers. It really emphasizes the absolute scale of restructuring the PMO is willing to do when they feel a systemic reset is needed. It kind of sends the clear message that no one's job is permanently safe. All right, Section 3, Vajpayee, UPA, and Modi era comparisons. Now, to truly appreciate how unique this current selection process is, we really need to shift our focus to comparative politics. We have to look at how previous governments handled these exact same pressures of coalition management and cabinet selection. And wow, the contrast is literally night and day. During the UPA era under Manmohan Singh or the NDA era under Atal Bihari Vajpayee, coalition allies practically dictated the terms. They demanded specific, high-profile portfolios and essentially forced the prime minister's hand. But today? Despite running a coalition government with 240 seats, the current administration operates a highly centralized, fiercely independent decision-making apparatus. The PMO is completely dominant. In fact, historical analysts often point to an anecdote that perfectly captures that past era. The saying goes, "Allies made Vajpayee cry." You had leaders like Jayalalitha, Mamata Banerjee, and George Fernandez, or later,
UPA allies like the DMK, who famously insisted on R. Raja retaining his portfolio, just heavily pressuring past prime ministers. The PM was, in many ways, often a hostage to the coalition's demands. But today, the central protagonist in this entire process is the Prime Minister's office. It functions as an exceptionally powerful central authority. Actually, political scientists often compare its absolute grip to the Indira Gandhi era. Now, yes, crucial allies like Chandrababu Naidu or Chirag Paswan are consulted. They definitely have a seat at the table, but they absolutely cannot dictate terms or demand specific portfolios the way allies did back in the 90s and 2000s. Which brings us to Section 4, the secret of minister selection, the formula. So, the crucial point is, how does this incredibly powerful PMO actually decide? If the allies aren't forcing their hand, what are the hidden metrics actually used to select ministers today? Well, the formula relies on 4 strict pillars. First up, popularity alone is just not enough. You need administrative efficiency and a proven track record of flawlessly executing PMO decisions. Second, regional and caste math. For example, if a minister is selected from Uttar Pradesh, you can bet it is meticulously calculated to balance Dalit, OBC, and other community representations right ahead of local elections. It's this wild blend of ruthless efficiency and deep electoral calculus, all to ensure the government machinery runs exactly as the center intends.
We also see a really subtle shift in organizational influence. During the Vajpayee era, the RSS had significant veto power over key economic roles. They famously opposed Jaswant Singh for finance, for instance. But in the current era, that influence has definitely shifted. The RSS focuses a lot more on ideological domains, like education and cultural appointments, while the PMO retains absolute, uncompromising control over strategic ministries like finance, defense, and foreign affairs. And then, of course, there is the secrecy. This process runs with intense, corporate-style confidentiality. Traditional political lobbying? Basically impossible. In fact, if a candidate's name is leaked to the media in advance, it actively ruins their chances of being selected. That is a real rule. The ultimate confirmation only ever comes via a last-minute phone call from the PMO, usually just hours before the swearing-in ceremony. Talk about high stakes, right? And finally, Section 5, who will join the cabinet? The speculation list. Keeping that strict secrecy in mind, let's map out the current rumored entrants. And again, strictly maintaining that these are just political speculations. But it's super fascinating to see the logic behind why these specific names are floating around. You'll notice a strict strategic rationale tied to every single one. Anurag Thakur is being discussed for his past administrative success and his representation for Himachal Pradesh. Names like Raghav Chadha, Sandeep Pathak, and Tarun Chugh are heavily linked to the complex electoral math for the upcoming Punjab Assembly elections. Then you have D. Purandeswari, representing a long-term strategy for making inroads in the south ahead of 2029. There's even talk of TMC MP Kakoli Gaish Dastidar, which highlights some really interesting cross-party administrative shifts. And bringing in someone like former RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das, well, that would be a pure administrative play to send a massive signal of economic stability to the markets. Finally, managing regional alliances, the Shiv Sena Shinde faction is rumored to be looking at 2 spots. Like I said, every single rumor has a highly calculated rationale behind it. Which brings us to our final thought. We've seen how the selection process has completely transformed from chaotic coalition demands into a highly centralized, data-driven master plan. So I leave you with this question to think about. Will this independent, performance and data-driven style of selection define the very future of Indian politics, even beyond this current administration? Has the PMO permanently changed how governance is built in India? It's a genuinely fascinating question to ponder as we all wait for that sudden, last-minute phone call to kick off the next reshuffle. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.